Well, back here in Nigeria, let's take a quick look at the equities market today. Well, here you have the food giant Nestle led the gainers table today with a 14 naira gain, followed by New Gold with a 4 naira gain. Now, financial stocks were investor stoves today, actually led by Zenith Bank, trading over 53 million shares valued at 1.11 billion naira. Well, however, the Nigerian equity markets closed in the red, with the all-share index pointing southwards at 0.71% to close at 946.67 points. Well, to talk more on this, I will be speaking with David Adonri, the GM of Lambeth Stocks and Investment. Well, David, thank you so much for joining us. Now, the market has been... Well, thank you. Well, now the market has been recording a downtrend in the past 2 weeks. What's responsible for this decline?
Yes, indeed. Before 2 weeks ago, the equities market had been on a sustained bullish rally, which had lasted for several weeks. It was therefore not surprising that fatigue set into the market along the line, and the market has been engaged in the process of correction up till last week Friday, when I presume market makers intervened to stabilizing the market. But that notwithstanding, I think the bears still came up to the market today and drove it down. But a lot of factors were actually responsible for setting forth the decline in the equities market. Just 2 weeks ago, the full year result for International Energy Insurance for the year ended 2011 was released. That result was a loss, and apparently traders did not settle down to analyze that result properly, and so there was an instant reaction which set off a panic in the market, wherein a lot of speculators started running for cover, and that inundated the market with a lot of supplies, So that was a major factor that provoked this decline in the market.
But David,
then secondly,
but David, although you just mentioned that the yearly earnings report of International Energy Insurance, was also responsible for this. But then the full yearly report, of food giant Nestle and Nigerian breweries were also released afterwards. Didn't that have any positive effect whatsoever?
Not at all. It did not reverse the downward trend in the market because when those results were released, the dividend yields fell below the expected benchmark of the market. At the time the full year result for for Nestle was released, the dividend yield was just about 2%. And that of Nigerian breweries was actually about 1.75%. So those yields were not material enough to changing the course of direction of the market at the time they were released. So they did not have any material effect.
Oh well, David, it can't be all bad news, for the markets. I mean, give us an update on the reactivation of the retail bond market on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I mean, that should have some good news for investors.
Yes, indeed. I think that is the most important development on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, in that the market that hitherto was regarded as a monoproduct market, trading principally on equities, is now being diversified into the debt market with a thriving reactivated retail bonds platform. And so for about a month or more, we have trading on bonds, especially federal government bonds, in a very, very active manner. And quite recently too, subnational bonds were also traded on the platform of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Indeed, today, there were trades on Lagos State Bond. So that is actually the good news, that investors can diversify their portfolios in the market along the line of equities and bonds and even derivatives, because we have Absa New Gold, which, like you read earlier on, was one of the stocks that appreciated today. And so we have a market with multiple products offering now. So investors can shift their assets from equities and take defensive positions in bonds right now on the platform of the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Okay,
but what had not happened for a long time.
Okay, well, just before you go, Bako Super SAC was placed on full suspension today, preparatory to its delisting. I mean, there should be some good news there for investors. What's your take on it? Yes,
indeed. Today was the last trading day for Nigerian bag manufacturing company, otherwise called BABCO. It's now placed on full suspension, preparatory to its merger with its parent company, Flour Mills. That is a very, very good news to the shareholders of Bako Super SAC right now, in that those that have elected to exchange their shares for the shares of Flour Mills can now count themselves as shareholders of Flour Mills of Nigeria. I think they have actually gotten into Flour Mills at a good price of about 75 naira. So that is a very, very good development for the shareholders of Bako. Well, those who have also elected not to be shareholders, from now, they will have their cash dividend refunded to them.
All right, well, that's good news, like you just said, but I believe investors will not be happy to see this negative trend continue. So what do you think should be done to get the market back on a positive streak?
Yes, the correction in the market will definitely fizzle out as value becomes restored in the equities market. And so we also believe that the market has come to a point where there is intrinsic value, and so investors will start taking back their positions which they had exited previously. From the macroeconomic perspective, we're seeing inflation rate declining, and so if that trend continues, definitely we'll also have the yield on debt instruments declining, so which means that assets will start flowing into the equities market. Again, one thing I failed to mention was that the depreciation of the naira in the foreign exchange market had a negative impact on the equities market. So I believe that sooner or later the foreign exchange market will become stable, and so more assets will flow into equities. But by and large, we have both the bond market and the equities market thriving very, very well on the platform of the stock exchange right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David.